Here's something nobody talks about openly. When a woman is genuinely attracted to an older man, not casually interested, not mildly curious, but deeply drawn to him, she will, almost without fail, ask him two very specific types of questions. Not because she's playing games, not because she's trying to trap him, but because she needs to know something that she cannot find on his Instagram profile, cannot confirm through his salary, and cannot fake her way into understanding. She needs to know if he is real, and the way she finds out will tell you everything about female psychology that modern dating culture has spent years burying under swipe mechanics and talking stage nonsense. Most men fail these tests completely. Not because they're bad men, but because they don't even know a test is happening. Stay with me, because what I'm about to explain will fundamentally change how you understand attraction, maturity, and the silent language women use when they're serious about someone. What's the biggest mistake you've ever made? The man shifts slightly. Most men do. Some laugh it off. Some give a polished, rehearsed answer about a business decision that's taught them so much. Some deflect with humor. Some, and this is the most revealing, get defensive. They straighten their posture. They say something like, "I don't really believe in regrets," and something in her eyes goes quiet, not cold, not disappointed exactly. More like a door slowly closing. Because she wasn't asking for a LinkedIn-approved growth story. She wasn't asking for a humble brag wrapped in self-awareness language. She was asking something far more dangerous. Are you capable of honesty when it costs you something? And the man, polished, successful, experienced, just failed the first test without even realizing it was being administered. What most people don't understand about women who are attracted to older men is this. They are not simply attracted to age. They are attracted to what age is supposed to represent: depth, accountability, emotional steadiness, and the particular kind of confidence that only comes from a man who has genuinely wrestled with his own failures and stopped pretending they didn't happen. A woman who seeks an older man is, at her core, seeking completeness. She has often already experienced men her own age, charming, exciting, beautifully distracted by their own potential, and she has learned, sometimes painfully, that potential without wisdom is just expensive waiting. She is done waiting, so when she meets an older man who interests her, she arrives at the table with a set of internal questions that would make most psychologists nod in recognition. And the two most consistent ones, the ones that appear across cultures, across income brackets, across education levels, are these. 1. Has this man made peace with his past? 2. Does this man know who he is when nobody is watching? She will never ask these questions directly. That's not how it works. Instead, she'll ask you about your biggest mistake. She'll ask what you believe in. She'll ask what you want. Not professionally, not financially, but actually want on a Tuesday afternoon when life feels ordinary, and she will read your answer like a map. This is the question underneath every question. Is this real, or is this a performance? Because here's what younger men often don't understand, and here's what many older men have forgotten. A woman who craves an older man has typically developed a finely calibrated radar for performance versus presence. She has sat across from enough men who wore their maturity like a costume. Men who quoted stoicism but crumbled at the first sign of emotional inconvenience. Men who said, "I've done a lot of work on myself," but meant, "I've read 3 self-help books and now I have better vocabulary for the same patterns." She is not cynical. She is educated by experience. And so the second type of question she asks isn't about the past at all. It's about the present. It sounds something like this. What does a normal day look like for you? Or, what do you actually do when you're stressed? Or the deceptively simple, what are you afraid of? These questions are not small talk. They are X-rays. Because a man who has genuinely done the internal work, who has arrived at a version of himself that isn't contingent on circumstances, will answer these questions with a particular quality that is almost impossible to fake. He will answer with specificity and calm, not performance, not deflection, not philosophy used as armor, just I take long walks, I get quiet, I sometimes call my brother. I'm still learning not to withdraw completely. That answer, ordinary, honest, slightly vulnerable without being theatrical, will do more for her attraction than any restaurant reservation. any impressive career story, any physical attribute, because what she hears in that answer is not weakness. What she hears is, "I know myself." And to a woman who has spent years around men who are strangers to themselves, that is the most attractive thing in the world. Here's where modern culture has created a catastrophic confusion. Dating apps have trained an entire generation of men, including older men who should know better, to market themselves rather than reveal themselves. The entire architecture of modern dating is built on performance optimization, best photos, wittiest bio, most impressive first impression, and for a certain kind of interaction this works fine. But for a woman who is drawn to an older man specifically because she is looking for something beyond the surface, this marketing-first approach is not just ineffective, it is disqualifying, because she isn't evaluating your brand, she is evaluating your substance. And substance cannot be marketed, it can only be witnessed. Social media has made this worse in a particular way. It has given older men the tools to appear perpetually youthful, perpetually successful, perpetually unbothered. And many have made the tragic mistake of using those tools to compete with younger men on younger men's terms. But here's the brutal truth. A 45-year-old man trying to seem 30 is not attractive to a woman who wants a 45-year-old man. He is simply a 30-year-old in an older body, with worse excuses for the immaturity. The woman who craves an older man is not looking for a younger man with more experience points. She is looking for someone who has metabolized his experience. Someone who has taken the heartbreaks, the failures, the confusion of middle-decade living, and turned it into something quiet and solid. That process is called integration. Psychology has a word for it. Wisdom has had a word for it for centuries, and you cannot fake it, not for long, not to someone who's looking for it specifically. Let me give you the realizations that most people in this space are too polite to say out loud. Realization 1. The test isn't about your answer, it's about your relationship with the question. When she asks about your failures or your fears, she isn't grading your content, she is watching how you hold the question. Do you get defensive? Do you perform openness while actually revealing nothing? Do you answer quickly, with the rehearsed ease of a man who has curated this story many times? Or do you pause? Do you actually sit with it for a moment? Do you give an answer that feels like it might be slightly uncomfortable for you to share? That pause, that small, honest pause, is worth more than 10 perfect answers. Realization 2. Women who prefer older men are not looking for a father figure. They are looking for a finished structure. This is one of the most misunderstood aspects of this dynamic. Pop psychology loves to reduce it to unresolved daddy issues or power dynamics. And sometimes, yes, that's part of a complicated story. But for the vast majority of women drawn to older men, the desire is far more architectural than that. A younger man is a building under construction, fascinating, full of potential, but you cannot move into a building that doesn't have walls yet. An older man, a genuinely integrated older man, is a finished structure. You can walk through it, you can feel whether it's solid, you can decide if you want to live there. She's not looking for someone to lead her. She's looking for somewhere to land. Realization 3. The biggest mistake older men make is trying to be impressive instead of being present. Impressiveness is a young man's game, and older men who keep playing it have fundamentally misunderstood what they have to offer. Your career history is not your most attractive quality. Your financial stability is not your most attractive quality. The trips you've taken, the people you know, the things you've built, interesting, yes, attractive on their own. No. What is profoundly attractive? What makes a younger woman feel something she doesn't feel with men her own age is unhurried presence, the ability to sit in the conversation without agenda, to listen without waiting for your turn, to exist in the moment without performing the moment. That quality is rare at any age, but it's supposed to come with time, and when it does, it is devastatingly magnetic. Realization 4. She's not testing you to disqualify you, she's testing you because she wants you to pass. This is perhaps the most important thing to understand about these questions. She is not your adversary, she is not trying to catch you out, she is not running some power game designed to assert dominance. She is hoping, She has likely been disappointed before, by men who seemed solid but were hollow, by men who seemed wise but were only tired. And so she tests, not with cruelty, but with the particular desperation of someone who has wanted something for a long time and has been burned by imitations of it. When she asks you the hard question, the correct response is not to have the perfect answer. The correct response is to honor the question. Now here's where this gets deeper, because the two questions, has he made peace with his past, and does he know who he is, are not just tests for older men. They are questions that a woman is asking herself simultaneously. When she probes his relationship to failure, she is also asking, is it safe for me to fail around this person? When she asks what he's afraid of, she is asking, will he be able to hold my fear without flinching? Every question she asks him is a mirror she's holding up to see if the reflection is safe. And this is where the psychology becomes genuinely profound. The man who passes these tests doesn't pass them by being invulnerable. He passes them by demonstrating that vulnerability does not destabilize him. He can talk about the marriage that ended. He can talk about the years he lost to the wrong ambitions. He can talk about the relationship with his children that he's still repairing, not with drama, not with performed emotion, but with the calm of someone who has accepted the full weight of his own story. That calm is not coldness. It is the opposite of coldness. It is the specific warmth that only comes from a fire that has burned long enough to become steady, and she can feel the difference between a fire and a match. He's not trying to be anything, he just is. Her friend asks what she means. She thinks for a moment. Then she says, when I asked him about his biggest regret, he didn't try to make it sound good. He just told me, and then he said he wished he'd been softer with people earlier in life. And then he moved on. No performance. No speech, just the truth, and then a new subject. Her friend nods slowly. Yeah, she says, that's rare. It is extraordinarily rare. And it is exactly what every older man has the potential to be, if he stops trying to compete on the wrong terms, stops trying to package himself for modern consumption, and starts simply being the most honest version of everything he has survived. Here is the truth that nobody in modern dating culture wants to say, because it can't be turned into a swipe strategy or a texting framework. Maturity is not an age, it is an arrival. It is the moment a man stops performing his life and starts inhabiting it. The moment his past becomes something he carries with ease rather than something he hides in embarrassment or polishes into a trophy. The moment he can sit across from a woman who is genuinely interested in him and offer her the rarest possible gift, the unedited version. When a woman asks an older man those questions, the ones about failure, about fear, about the quiet texture of his ordinary days, she is not conducting an interview, she is extending an invitation to be known. And the men who understand this, truly understand it, not as a tactic but as a truth, are the ones who don't just pass the test. They become, to her, something she had almost stopped believing was possible. Not perfect, not polished, not impressive in the curated algorithmic sense of the word, just real. And in a world drowning in performance, a real man doesn't need to chase anything. He simply becomes impossible to leave. And if you made it this far, you're probably someone who thinks deeply about these things. Subscribe, because this channel is built for people like you.